Here's a question we get a lot about Fargo ratings. What if I win a lot of my games, but I play against weak competition? Won't FargoRate think I'm better than I actually am? The short answer is no. FargoRate assesses your performance against opponents of known rating, and it knows you're playing weaker opponents. But let's dive in. And instead of looking at the results of top pro players or something like that, let's take a different tact. I'd like to introduce you to Dave. This is Dave, who may have some things in common with many of us. He's a pool enthusiast, watches streamed pool matches, he plays Pool League 2 nights a week. On Tuesday, he wins about 2/3 of his game. Thursday is the toughest division in town. He wins just under half of his games. And he's been to the Moscone Cup as a fan. Dave has an established Fargo rating of 520. And while Dave may be like many of us in a lot of ways, there's one thing that distinguishes Dave from nearly every other person on planet Earth. Dave has 6,426 games in the FargoRate database. 6,426. Dave has played those games against about 350 opponents with established Fargo ratings, and those opponents themselves range in rating from a low of 235 to a high of 773. Dave has played many opponents in virtually every different rating range. Dave's rating, once again, is 520, and as you can see, he's played a lot of opponents stronger than him, a lot of opponents weaker than him. The five at the top, Corey Deuel, Jesse Angle, Rory Hendrickson, top Canadian Felix Beardy, and Demi Gelatis, all play at USA top 100 speed. So here's what we'll do. Let's look at all the people that Dave has played that have a rating similar to his. That's the oval in the middle. That includes all the people that are within 10 points of Dave's rating of 520. Against that group of similar players, Dave should win about half of the games. Then when you go to 100 points in either direction, the ratio of games won and lost should be 2-1, one way or the other. And when you go to 200 points in either direction, the ratio of games won or lost should be 4-1 in one direction or the other. So we'll start out by looking at the similar rating, opponents just like him, then opponents 100 points higher, 200 points higher, 100 points lower, and then 200 points lower. Here's what we'll do. Dave played over 600 games against opponents rated very close to him. He's supposed to have won about half of them and lost about half. He's supposed to have won 313 and lost 307. And here's what actually happened. He won 315 and lost 305. Once again, close to 50-50. When we look at opponents that are 100 points above Dave, 100 points better than him, he's actually played 750 games against opponents that are very close to 100 points above him, and he's supposed to have won 1/3 of the games. That's what a 100-point gap is, a 2-1 ratio in the games, so he should win 1 out of 3, or 250 out of 750. And this is what actually happened. It's remarkably close, one game away from that expectation. This is the group that's 200 points above Dave. This is the group that includes the pro-level players. He's played 87 games against those very high-rated players. He's supposed to have won 17 of them. And he actually won 16 of them. Now we switch to weaker opponents. This is when Dave plays opponents that are 100 points lower than him, and Dave is supposed to win 2/3 of the games like shown. The actual results are pretty close to expectation. Finally, here are the expected results when Dave plays opponents of rating 200 points below him. These are opponents with ratings centered about 320. Actual results match expectation pretty well here as well. Dave's rating of 520 could have been determined by games against any one of these clusters of opponents. He could have only gone to pro-level pool tournaments, and he'd have a rating near 520. He could have only played in low-level league, he'd have a rating near 520. And your rating will be accurate regardless of the group of opponents you play against, provided you play enough games against opponents with established ratings. More data makes us better, always. If you go to Moscone Cup or BCA Pool League National Championship, you might run into Dave. And if you've learned something here, you might want to thank him. He drinks Black Velvet, Coke, splash of soda water, also known as a Velvet Dave.